Poses and transitions. Good. This takes you back to the very heart of how ProAnimator works. All right? Poses and transitions were developed as a reaction against keyframes. You set a keyframe here, you set a keyframe there, and then, you get some motion in between the two, right? The two positions over time gives you some motion. Great. Well, that's a natural way of thinking about it, but is it the best way? Is it the way that makes the computer work for you the best? One of the things I always hated, for instance, was in order to make an object stay still, you had to set two keyframes that were identical to each other. So you had a keyframe here and a keyframe here, and now my object was staying still, and then it got to move and do something else, okay? Of course, if that move was too far away, if that keyframe was set too far away, now I've got a funny bump in the motion where it compensates and then smooths into the motion that comes after it. You see, why? Why are you even doing any of that sort of headache? And again, it's damage control, right? Keyframing is damage control, y'all. I say that. Okay, so poses and transitions. They each have a length. This pose has a length. So very simply, if I want this object to sit here for 2 seconds, I create a pose and drag it to 2 seconds. Guess what? It sits there now. Ooh. Simple stuff, all right? It's simple, but it's a solution. You don't have to know a trick. You have to understand that setting two keyframes that are the same a certain time apart, that's a trick. That's a workaround because one keyframe won't do it. All right? So you learn tricks, and that's what most keyframe animation is. It's learning a series of tricks that get it to do this or tricks to do that. All right? We get rid of that. We say, give me pose, make it 2 seconds long. It is good. All right? Done. Now, transitions also have a period of time, so we let you drag those things out too. So you've got a pose here, a pose there. Between the two is a transition, and you end up with the whole animation timeline. All right? Very simple. Poses, transitions. Now, what's a pose? A pose is not just a keyframe. Keyframe is position, rotation, scale, XYZ. All right? That's a keyframe. Poses are so much more than that. A keyframe does not know how an object got there. You get this? It doesn't know how an object got there. All it is a point in space, rotation in space, a scale in space. Okay? A pose, on the other hand, knows how an object gets to its position. It's a certain amount of move this way and a certain amount of rotate everybody as a group or everybody individually. It's a certain amount of spread apart. It's a certain amount of randomness for each one of those things. And when you combine these all together, you get this thing. It's greater than the sum of its parts. That's really all the way you can say it. You've got this thing that lets you position objects and move them very quickly and very intuitively, and it knows how those objects got there. So what that does for you is that when it's time to make changes, the objects know how they got there. So you just make the change and it updates. Done. Give you an example. Say you started off with 4 objects and you put them right there. Client comes back the next day and says, no, we need to make a change. Now there are 20 objects. Well, what do? If you're in a keyframe system, you can't substitute 20 objects for 4 objects. There's no match, right? But in ProAnimator, it's like nothing. You just switch out the 20 for the 4, and because all the pose data is there, remember, it knows how those objects got there in the first place. It just says, oh, now we're doing it with 20 objects. So we're taking these 20 and we're putting them in the same place with the same spread or the same distribution or the same rotation, and it just works. It's the most amazing thing you ever saw.